Thank you. Okay, thank you all for coming. This is the program part of the evening, and I want to thank everyone for coming to Barnard Mayrsohn's 100-year birthday celebration. Thank you very much. No, there's more. Everyone has on their table a few things. A program, if you would all look at your programs, and let's go through the program for a second, and you'll see what's coming. We have welcome remarks right on cue. And then later, you're going to hear from Kathy. That'll be a lot more fun than this. And I'm going to read to you a short letter that Dad received from President Joe Biden. I have it right here, and a signed autographed picture. The originals, Dad, are in safekeeping, so these are only copies. Then I'm going to introduce General Scott A. Jackson, Chief of Staff of the United States Southern Command. Let's hear it for him. We also have with us the distinguished representative for Congresswoman Frederica Wilson. Mr. Charles Scott is here in the House. And then we're going to have a buffet dinner that is going to be one of the best you ever have by Chef Alan. I don't know if you knew Chef Alan Susser. Had a fantastic restaurant in North Miami called Chef Alan. And then we're going to have another, Seth, you're here, Seth, right? The president of Cornell University, Dad's alma mater, prepared something for Dad, so we're going to hear that as well after dinner. And is Kimona here? Oh, she'll be here later. Well, professional singers got a song for Dad that you all are going to enjoy. And I'd like to start tonight. If you turn to your second page, it says Google on the top, but it's the lyrics to God Bless America. So I'd like everyone that is able to stand to please stand and join me in singing God Bless America. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountain to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Thank you very much. You may be seated now. The rest of the lyrics are there too, in case you want to sing at your homes. Well, ladies and gentlemen, today, as you know, marks the 100th birthday of my dad and your cousins and uncles and friends. What? And great uncle, and there's a great, yes, all of that. And he was born 5 score ago. But 4 score ago, picture please. Hold up the picture. 4 score ago, yeah, Dad entered the United States Army. (1943) is when his service began. Thank you, Armando. 1 year later, Dad is in Europe. He's on the front lines of the 106th Infantry Division, and all hell breaks loose. It's called the Battle of the Bulge. That was Germany's last gasp to counteroffensive and maybe break the war in their favor. His division was on the front lines. Dad was actually one of the men that ran the wires for the phone communications. He was way out there in front. And when the Germans attacked, his lines were overrun. They were fighting desperately for days, and a lot of their buddies were killed. Dad told me one of his captain, Captain Manning, had scores of GIs in a farmhouse, and they were getting shelled and shot. And Captain Manning said, "Men, we got to get out of here. We're all going to die." And they all knew that the first man out was going to get hit. Captain Manning led them out, and sure enough, he was killed instantly. But Dad and a few of the other soldiers made it. And when we went back to the Battle of the Bulge Cemetery, we saluted Captain Manning's cemetery, his grave. And Dad made it out. His commander of the division, realizing all was lost, ordered a surrender. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, General, but and they laid down their arms, and they were led to the prisoner of war trains. The Germans were so confident they had prisoner of war trains a few miles from the front lines, and they were told to take off their boots, surrender their guns and their coats, and walk those few miles to the trains. One of Dad's friends, GI buddies, had frostbite. It was so cold. It was one of the coldest winters in history, 1944 December. And this man pleaded, "Leave me, let me die. I can't make it." And Dad would have none of that. He put the man on his back and dragged him through the snow, the miles to the trains, and that man lived. He saved that man. Dad was wounded several times in the battle, and he tells me he made a few kills as well. And General Jackson's going to explain the different medals he's going to receive shortly. But then he went to prisoner of war camp. A lot of you know this story, but those that don't, and it's in his book. Where's the book? It's outlined in his book, which was written by, thank you, Mr. Seth Branson, who's here, and he's going to talk a little bit. He spent 6 months in the prisoner of war camp before being liberated, ironically, by the Russians. The gentleman, or the fellow soldier next to him on the cover, is his brother, another GI, Jack Mayrsohn. and his son Mitchell is right here, and grandson and great-granddaughter. We're all here. Okay, why don't you stand up, Mitch and Eric, Megan, Sherry, and Danny. Okay. Just a few more things. But it's great stuff, huh? Okay, well, listen, I do want to thank everyone for coming. And a lot of you came from very far away places. Perhaps the furthest away is our dear friend from Norway, Mr. Osborne Juane, right there from Norway. He flew over. Osborne has known my father longer than he's known me, and traded with Mayrsohn International way back then. We have also cousins from Seattle, from Arizona, from Colorado, from New York, New Jersey, from Bethesda. Who's here from Bethesda? Yes, I know. And Connecticut. And a lot of people from Dayton, Broward have come here. My grandfather, and those of you who are cousins, our grandfather, Mayrsohn. It's the small picture. Right here is the man that started it all. He had 5 children and three sons and 2 daughters. And there are grandchildren of every one of those 5 sons and daughters here today. How about a round of applause for yourselves? If you go back to your program and just skip a couple of pages, you'll see a biography, so I don't have to say it, of Dad's war service and a small synopsis of his life. And you'll see that his 2 brothers also had World War II service. Older brother Casper served in western U.S. on the Manhattan Project, and his brother Jack, who entered, younger brother Jack later, was also in Europe as Mitch, a quartermaster, right? That's it. Okay, good. And the 2 sisters, Helen and Sarah, are also represented by a big turnout here tonight. And we have also my mother's side, the Handelman family. There's a lot of you here. Let's hear it for the Handelman family. Good pictures. Nope, not that one. Yeah, that one. Here's a picture of Ethel Handelman Mayrsohn on their wedding night. What a peach, huh? Married in 1946, they were happily married for 60 years. We also have people here from Dad's company that he and I made together, Mayrsohn International Trading. Let's hear it for them. There are 15 of them here tonight. Yes, and there's a lot of people here that are Dad's friends and neighbors right here at Quayside. Let's hear it for the Quayside friends. You didn't have to valet park, did you? And of course we have the U.S. Army well represented here. Major General Scott Jackson is here. He'll be speaking soon, and Major Martin put this together with me. We have a videographer, Jameson Crabtree. Where's the videographer? Doing his job. Okay. This side's mine. And a photographer also, Heather Hines, right here. Okay, so at this point, I want to introduce my wife, who's going to have a few words. And ladies and gentlemen, Kathy Mayrsohn.
Hi. Like Mark said, we welcome all our family and friends from near and far away. My speech is short and sweet, so it's not as long. First, it's not as long as Mark. First, I want to thank, there's an angel sitting among us, and that is Bernice Anderson, this beautiful lady right here. And it is because of Bernice that of her excellent care, that she's been taking care of our dad, father-in-law, Papa, for the past 5 years. And without her, Mark and I truly believe he wouldn't be here. So we appreciate you, Bernice, and we love you, and we thank you for everything that you've done for Barney. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And my last item on my speech is I want to thank Barney's granddaughter, Sophia, who's sitting over there. And her picture is on the table, on the little table tent. And Sophia and her co-workers made our gorgeous party favors. They were designed with love by Nancy Amar and assembled. Nancy is over there. And Maddie and her assistant Maddie, and they are Sophia's co-workers. And these little suitcases, they're like little luggage, and everything inside them has meaning and purpose to Dad's life. So when you open it up, make sure you read. There's an insert in there, and there's a newspaper article that Nancy wrote with love, and Sophia, her job was to help assemble them. And we're super thrilled about that. And I've had a lot of folks ask me what they should do in honor of Papa's birthday. And if you'd like to make a donation to beyondasd.com, I've heard that the QR code is not working on here or in the little suitcases. It's beyondasd.com. And the foundation, the foundation's mission is to raise a new way of experiencing autism. We begin with awareness, it shifts the definition. So Beyond ASD gives young adults the chance at inclusion and employment. And we are blessed and grateful for Sophia could participate with her Papa's big birthday. And yeah, thank you, Sophia, Nancy, and Maddie. And thanks. And I also wanted to big shout out. Where is Whitney and Marley? Where is Whitney? Oh, there they are. These two lovely ladies work for Dad's internist, Dr. Schneider, internist cardiology, and they have been taking amazing care of him. And anytime Bernice or we call, they are just amazing with Dad. And we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Okay. No, I did. And thank you very much. Have a good time.
Okay, you get me again. I want to read you the letter from Joe Biden. It actually came delivered on his birthday. How do you like that? Okay, and it's here it is. If you want to see it later, I'll have it. You can see. It's from the White House, Washington. Mr. Barnard Mayrsohn, Miami Shores. Dear Mr. Mayrsohn, it is a privilege to wish you a happy 100th birthday and thank you for your inspiring service in the United States Army. The selflessness of veterans like you who answered our nation's call to serve during World War II defines the true character of our greatest generation. We remain forever indebted to those who have worn the uniform and sacrificed beyond measure for our cherished freedoms. Though birthday celebrations may look different during these difficult times, I hope you take pride in all you have accomplished throughout your life. On behalf of a grateful nation, I send my best wishes to you on this special day. Sincerely, Joe Biden. And there's the picture. Okay. I have one more family picture we want to show, and I should have shown it earlier, but this is a family photo of our immediate family on their 60th wedding anniversary, Dad's 60th wedding anniversary. You'll see us all there. And that was within 1 year my mom passed, so that was the last anniversary they had. Okay, I think it's time for another song. All right, let's go to the. We have one more thing before the song, but the song is the Caisson song. It's this third page in. So you have it? Yeah. I want to show you a 20-second video that was aired on television. Okay, Fox News. I didn't want to say it, but Major Martin organized that. And we were, was it local, Major Martin, or did it go national? National. This was aired national on Fox News, a 20-second clip, and it was on Flag Day, which is also Dad's birthday. It's on my iPad. It may be hard for some of you to see. I don't mind if you. Nobody can see it? Well, you can hear it. So go start the 20-second clip.
Tonight, a special day. Tonight, a special day. Today is the U.S. Army's 248th birthday. Formed in 1775, the branch incorporated long-standing militia traditions and new professional standards. Happy birthday. Also today, U.S. Army veteran Barnard Mayrsohn celebrates his 100th birthday today. Flag Day, it's also Flag Day. He served in World War II, fought in the Battle of the Bulge, where he earned 2 Purple Hearts and a Bronze Star. He was captured by the Germans, held as a POW for 6 months before being liberated. Happy birthday, sir. Thanks for your service.
Okay, so this is my father's favorite song, and it's the Army song. Dad, do you want to sing it? You want to try to sing it? We're not going to sing every verse, but a couple of verses. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, everybody. Over hill, over dale, as we hit the dusty trail, as the caissons go rolling along. In and out, hear them shout, counter march and right about, as the caissons go rolling along. Keep going. Then it's high, high, he in the field artillery, Shout out your numbers loud and strong. For ere you go, you will always know that the caissons go rolling along. Keep 'em rolling, that the caissons go rolling along. One more time, that the caissons go rolling along. And with that, I'd like to introduce General Scott A. Jackson. General Jackson is a major general. That's a 2-star general. He joined the Army in 1990, graduated from Notre Dame. He got his bachelorate there and also 2 master's degrees. He has served over 50 combat missions in throughout the United States, Korea, Iraq, and Afghanistan. And I have also on page 4 his bio. Please read that at your convenience. But it shows all the wonderful things General Jackson has done in his career, and he's the Chief of Staff of the United States Southern Command. General Scott A. Jackson.
Well, awesome. Thanks for having us. Hey, so before I do any kind of speaking engagements, I try to read the room and then kind of think about what's going on. So normally I speak after dinner, which has its own challenges, the whole sleepy dessert coma kind of stuff. But I looked at the program tonight, I'm speaking before dinner. So be short, be sweet, and be gone, Jackson, is what I should be saying, right? But hey, so up front, I just want to say thanks for the opportunity to participate tonight. And and first thanks to Mark and the entire family and the entire Mayrsohn clan and friends and just everywhere, right? The love here is pretty obvious for an outsider to come in here and see what already has happened in this room. So thank you for allowing us to be a part of this. And I say us because tonight my job is to represent the United States Army, not U.S. Southern Command where I work at every single day, but to wear this uniform, this Army uniform, and represent the United States Army. Because as you'll find out, through my remarks, we're trying to make something right. Everybody complains that the Army is really slow on paperwork and process. Well, this is the all-time high. It took us 78 years to figure something out, but I'll figure that out. Hey, you also heard though in the video login intro piece, right? So Barney has another unique thing. Right, he was born on the Army birthday, June 14th. Yes. Yeah. So, when we got when I heard about this and the Army heard about it, they were like, "Holy cow!" 1, we got to make this right? But 2, he's our guy. He's the Army birthday guy, right? And so we celebrate both your 100th and the U.S. Army's 248th birthday. Wow. So. Had Barney stayed in the Army after World War II, you never would have missed his birthday. We would have always had cake on your birthday. There'd been a big old ceremony, and you would have been like, damn, the whole nation is calling out my birthday. But again, happy birthday. So again, my job here is to make it right and represent the Army and kind of comment on and then recognize the great things that Barney did during World War II. Specifically, as a result of the Battle of the Bulge, and Mark briefly touched on it. But so before we get to the gist of it, I want to just, if I could, provide a little bit of historical context to kind of put in a frame what Barney did, and then why that it was so special, right? So, on December 16th, 1944, Barney had been in the European Theater of Operations only a matter of days, having enlisted in 1943. Gone through some initial training. I noted a couple different types of training. He kind of bounced around a little bit in the Army, did multiple things, which is a pretty cool story by itself, right? Finally landed in this thing called the 106th Infantry Division, located in Tennessee initially. An amalgamated division. It was late in the war. It was kind of I'll call it a pickup team, right? And then right before they deployed, by the way, they took half the division and moved it out, split it apart, and then brought in new folks. So it was a bit of, again, fragmented, not formed yet, and they put it on a boat, and they sent it to Europe. And then on December 16th, he finishes at the end of a movement. He occupies a piece of snowy ground on the German border, and what was told to him is, this is the ghost line. This is quiet. We haven't had any contact here for days. And the people on the other end of that wood line over there you may see from time to time are a bunch of young people, old dudes. It's the worst of the worst. Nothing's going to happen. The division of about 15,000 soldiers normally occupies a frontage of about 5 miles in the defense. So you take 15,000 dudes and you lay them across 5 miles. Barney's formation was spread across 21 miles on the Ghost Front. And it was assumed that, hey, this is the Ghost Front, nothing's going to happen. We can spread this formation now. Well, unfortunately, that morning on December 16th, that was not true. And folks awoke to the shells coming across the border, coming from the east to the west and landing on friendly lines. The Germans were launching everything they had, everything from 3-inch mortars to 16-inch shells. 16-inch shells, diameter, length, about 2,000 pounds each, just for context. Now, you saw in the bio, I've been in combat multiple times, and every time I've been shot at and bombed and shelled. And I got to tell you, there's nothing more scary in the world than waiting for something to land next to you and not knowing when it's going to land. So the sheer terror of what men like Barney went through on that morning, I cannot imagine, because I have never been through anything like that that you went through. So again, not anything in recent history. Caught by surprise, the men of the 106th did what soldiers do in such a predicament, and they have done since time immemorial. They tumbled out of their bed, they ran into each other in haste, they grabbed their weapons, and they attempted to fight their way out of encirclement. They chipped the ice off their engines on their Jeeps to try to start them in order to maneuver and evacuate out of the area. It was so doggone cold that day. Barney's company fought their way back to the regimental headquarters, their higher headquarters, centered in that area. With little structure, little guidance, they did the best they could. During that time period, during that 24-hour period of getting back and trying to assemble cohesive defense, Barney was wounded twice, which we'll talk about here in a second. Regretfully, the situation was so chaotic that none of the leaders were able to get control of their formations and form a cohesive defense. And in the end, Barney's regiment, consisting of about 5,000 soldiers, was encircled by the Germans along with another regiment from the division. In the course of just over 48 hours, the 106th Division ceased to exist. Operation Watch on the Rhine, the great counteroffensive of the Ardennes, which we now call the Battle of the Bulge, called for 2 attacking columns coming out of Germany, one to the north, one to the south, and they were going to meet in the middle behind the enemy, behind the U.S. lines. They were successful in that. They caught 2 entire regiments of almost 1,000 soldiers in that encirclement. And in the end, 7,000 soldiers were captured and turned into POW camps. That was the context. Now, here's what I draw from that. In the days, weeks, months that followed, we learned a lot about Barnard Mayrsohn. We learned that Barney was a man of character. So what does character mean? People use it all the time. Hey, he's a man of character. What does that mean? It simply means to me is that his life was governed by principles and values. They were not just words. They were touchstones. They were pipes that he led every single day. He stayed true to those principles and those values. Barney's actions on the days that followed embodied what makes our nation, and if I can selfishly say, our Army great. You know, today, Barney, when soldiers come in the Army, we teach them a thing called the Soldier's Creed. All right, and I'm going to read it to you. It reads, I am an American soldier. I am a warrior and a member of a team. I serve the people of the United States, and I live the Army values. I will always place the mission first. I will never accept defeat. I will never quit. And I will never leave a fallen comrade. I recite that because although it was written and really employed in the Army in the last 10 to 15 years, it's what he lived every single day, really throughout his entire life, but particularly focused in the period of 1944. While Barney was captured along with his unit, he did not accept defeat. During his captivity, he never capitulated. He resisted using any means available. He assumed informal leadership while captured by in Stalag, and improved the morale of his soldiers, his teammates, every single day. And on at least 2 occasions, he went above and beyond, taking care of his teammates to ensure their safeguard their care, and their support, and in saving their lives, as we've already mentioned. I also noticed in reading this, he also silently rebelled against the Germans by embracing his Jewish heritage. When given a chance to not say he was Jewish, he didn't back away. He didn't back down. That's being a man of character. Because he knew what the consequences could be, and he went ahead anyways. That is character. That is commitment to the values of your nation, your faith, your family, and your teammates. Secondly, we learn that Barney is a man who epitomizes the word grit. As the Soldier's Creed says, "I will never quit," and he didn't, ever. In his own words, a quote from the book, "I had to strengthen up and realize that no matter what indignities the bastards heaped on us," pardon the language, kids, "I was going to summon the strength that I needed to withstand it all, survive and outlast every German fill in the blank there who was there." I did manage to censor that one out. Folks, as I said, I've been deployed to combat 4 times for nearly 5 years. Every time I left home, I knew what I was in for, had a good idea when I was coming home. I've been in tough situations, and every time I always knew the outcome. I can't imagine the feelings that Barney went through in those months. The ride, the 5-day train ride from hell, going to hell, in the Stalag for how long? Imagine being on that train, arriving at a camp, not knowing what is going to happen tomorrow. That is grit. That is resilience. And that is what we expect of our soldiers today as they represent our nation. I only hope that if I'm placed in a similar situation, I can perform as well as you did. So last Wednesday, June 14th, was the Army birthday, as I mentioned, 248 years old. And I had the privilege of talking to a bunch of fellow soldiers. And I reminded them of a couple things. First, the Army's history is the nation's history, having been started a year before the United States was actually started. We were born before the nation, and we have been here every step of the way. Our history is built on the individual actions of Americans like Barney, his teammates, and his families. I told them I had the opportunity to do this tonight and to mark the contribution of an amazing American who has contributed his piece to our nation's history and, selfishly again, to the Army's history. Barney, we can't thank you enough for what you've done through your entire life of service, both before the Army, in the Army, and after the Army. And to quote a current phrase, you truly represent the Army motto of "be all you can be." So if you want to re-enlist again, we'll pull you in. So, no, not today? All right, maybe afterwards we'll talk about this again. But hey, so to wrap up and to really get to the business at hand, here in a few minutes we're going to try to make something right and recognize your service by presenting a few pieces of cloth and a couple of trinkets. So I noticed in your book, this one really stood out to me, good job, Seth, that on August 17th of 1945, after Japan had surrendered and you were being discharged, you were doing your paperwork thing that the Army's very fond of, and then you got summoned into an office by some general, quote, some general, right? And he asked you a bunch of questions, made you tell your story, and afterwards he says, "Son, I am authorizing not only the awarding of 2 Purple Hearts for having been wounded in combat, but in addition the Combat Infantryman's Badge, as well as the Bronze Star for Valor. You have earned them all, and your country and I are proud of you." Now, unfortunately, the story ends there because we never gave him the doggone medals. We didn't do the paperwork right, and here we are 78 years later, we're trying to fix it. So, Barney, it's now 78 years later, all right? And another general officer is standing in front of you. Hopefully you remember my name in 20 years. Saying he is going to pin some medals on you. I, too, am very proud of you, but more importantly, I'm proud of your service as a soldier and as an American, and proud to have been a part of this great event. So thank you.
Private First Class Barnard Mayrsohn, United States Army, has been awarded the following medals for service and achievement. the World War II Victory Medal for his military service between December 7, 1941 and December 31st, 1946. The European, African, Middle Eastern Campaign Medal with 3 Bronze Star devices for his service in the European Theater of War between December 7, 1941 and March 2, 1946. The American Campaign Medal for his service within the American Theater between December 7, 1941 and March 2, 1946. The Good Conduct Medal for 3 consecutive years of honorable and faithful service. The Prison of War Medal for being taken prisoner and held captive while engaged in action against an enemy of the United States. Private First Class Mayrsohn, being held in detention in Nazi Germany's Stalag 4B camp following his capture in Belgium during the Ardennes Offensive, or more well known as the Battle of the Bulge, until liberation by Allied Russian forces. This is the initial issue of the award, having not been signed into law until November 8, 1985 by President Ronald Reagan. The Purple Heart with Oak Leaf Cluster for being wounded during action against the enemy of the United States.
Uncle Barney.
Attention orders. Attention orders. The Bronze Star Medal is awarded to Private First Class Barnard Mayrsohn, Cannon Company, 423rd Infantry Regiment, for meritorious achievement in active ground combat against the enemy, effective 16 December 1944, while serving with the 106th Infantry Division in Germany. Private First Class Mayrsohn's exemplary performance of duty in active ground combat was in keeping with the finest traditions of military service and reflects great credit upon himself, his unit, and the Army of the United States. Signed, Christine E. Warmoth, Secretary of the Army. The Combat Infantryman Badge is awarded to Private First Class Mayrsohn for being an infantryman satisfactorily performing infantry duties while assigned to the 423rd Infantry Regiment, being engaged in active ground combat during the Ardennes Offensive.
So for those who don't know, the Combat Infantryman's Badge was started after World War I to recognize the unique hardship of all infantrymen in combat. At the time, it was considered that no other branch in the military absorbed the greatest degree of danger that any that infantrymen were presented with every single day, and they were deserving of a special award.
I'm proud to say I served in the United States.
He was proud to serve in the United States Army.
The Honorable Service Lapel Button for honorable federal military service between 1925 and 1946.
Proud to be an American.
Cool.
Okay. Okay. Kathy? Okay, please be seated. We have a couple of more honors going to Dad. And then dinner. Okay. If you check your program, yeah, you didn't know you had to work here, did you? Okay. How are we doing on time? 7:50. Gosh, we're right on schedule. It's 7:15. And I want to introduce to you, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, a gentleman named Mr. Charles Scott, who is representing Congresswoman Federica Wilson of this district in the U.S. House of Representatives. And he has some words and an honor for my dad. Mr. Scott.
Good evening. It is indeed an honor. I give thanks and praise to the Almighty for making it possible for me to be here to share such a momentous historical occasion. I stand in the stead of a great woman who wished she could have been here this evening, but she wasn't able to be here, Congresswoman Frederica S. Wilson. To those of you who don't know, her district has one of the largest number of veterans in the nation, of most districts. And it's not very often I get the honor to bestow congressional recognition upon a veteran of 100 years old. Mr. Mayrsohn, Mark, and the rest of the family and friends, the blessing for me tonight is special. I explained this earlier, Mr. Martin earlier, because you see, I wanted to enlist in the American Army back in 1979. But I was prohibited because I was a Bahamian at the time. But I went on and I did all the ROTC classes and got full scores in all of them. And to me, it's always been an honor to be in the presence of someone who has served in this capacity. And when Mark contacted me referencing getting the recognition for his father, I made certain that whatever we can do from our office was done. You know, Mr. Mayrsohn went out and he fought to recognize and support the flag of the United States. This flag in my hand is a special flag because, you see, it was flown above the Capitol building and certified with a certificate, which I have the copy of here in an envelope for him. And when the congressman brought this down to me for presentation, I knew how important it was. And so for me tonight, this is special, very special, because to be in the presence of a great man like Mr. Mayrsohn is, it's important for us to appreciate the goodness, as the Major General said, to put one's life on the line and successfully do so, the way it was done in World War II. Indeed, we are blessed to be in his presence and blessed to have him here still with us at 100 years of age. Keep safe for the rest of your life, your family as well. And here's the authentication certificate to go with it to make sure whenever there's a question, you have this in your possession as well. It's a pleasure, it's an honor to do so. You're more than welcome. In this country, there are civilian honors, there are national honors, there are military honors, and there's one honor that we all historically strive for, and that is an honor of legacy and perpetuity. And in my possession is a very special document. This document is a congressional record. I want you to know that everything that we at the Congress can do, the House of Representatives, as far as recognizing the importance of honoring such a human being, Mr. Barnard Mayrsohn, was actually done. The record in my possession is literally a reference that was read on the floor of the House this past week, and it will give recognition to Mr. Mayrsohn, his work and his achievements in the military for perpetuity, because it will be added to the Library of Congress as a permanent record of the history of this country. And I want to share this with you because, I mean, Major General, you know how serious this is, because very few people have get the chance to get one while they're alive. And 100 years of age, and to have him being medaled, even additional medals tonight, is truly remarkable. I will read you briefly what the Congressional Record says. It says, Mr. Speaker, I, Congresswoman Frederica S. Wilson from the 24th District of the great state of Florida, seek recognition. I rise today to honor Barnard Mayrsohn, a World War II veteran on the occasion of his 100th birthday. It was after the attack on Pearl Harbor, and then a sophomore at Cornell University decided to enlist and serve his country. Mr. Mayrsohn began his journey in the United States Army, working with artillery. He was then transferred to the Army Air Corps, and finally, he found himself in Germany as a private first-class infantry. Mr. Mayrsohn is in the 106th Division, 423rd Regiment, and fought in the Battle of the Bulge. This battle lasted 5 weeks in the winter, as known as the greatest American battle of the war, one of the bloodiest. It was during this battle that he was captured and held in a German prisoner of war camp for 6 months. Mr. Mayrsohn sacrificed himself greatly and exemplified true heroic service during this time. He was awarded for his efforts with 2 Purple Hearts and a Bronze Star Medal. Eventually, the Russian army liberated him. Mr. Mayrsohn proudly served his country, the United States Army, from February 1943 to October 1945. Mr. Mayrsohn was ultimately able to return to Cornell, where he was able to reconnect with his soon-to-be wife, Ethel. Then they married and had 3 children. He's published a book about his life and the time he spent in the military, titled From Brooklyn to the Battle of the Bulge. Mr. Speaker, please join me in honoring Mr. Barnard Mayrsohn on becoming a centurion for his dedicated service to this country and all he has achieved. Mr. Speaker, these remarks be entered into official congressional record. They will then be permanently placed in the Library of Congress. So, indeed, it's a very historical time, and it's an honor for me. I'm filled with goose pimples to know that I'm blessed to be a part of such a momentous, honorable occasion. Indeed, sir, it's my pleasure.
Oh, yeah, me again. But this is going to be very quick on my part, because my father has asked me to say a few words on his behalf. And Dad was born in Brooklyn, New York, on Flag Day, 1923. He had a wonderful childhood, wonderful brothers and sisters, Casper, Helen, Sarah, and Jack, and himself. They lived through the Depression, and maybe that's where you got a little of your toughness, Dad, living through the Depression. His father died when he was 16. He went to Cornell. He met Ethel, but then he went to World War II, and he was missing in action when he was a POW. The postcards never arrived. They didn't know if he was alive or dead. Ethel waited for him. And when he came back to Cornell, they quickly married. They had 60 years of very happy marriage, We all wish Ethel was here today. They had 4 children, Janet, Barbara, Andrew, who was deceased before me. They lived in Brooklyn, in White Plains. Do you remember the White Plains house? Brayburn, Purchase, and then Quayside. He retired here to Quayside. He loves it here. So all you fellow Quaysiders, thank you. He enjoys his grandchildren, Aubrey-Ann and Sophia. And as Kathy said, he has wonderful health care with Bernice and Dr. Schneider and Whitney and Marley and Mayrsohn. He's happy. He loves life. And Dad's favorite expression, it's great to be alive. And now I'm going to change the order a little bit. Someone that was going to be later is going to be now. We have the wonderful professional singer, Kimona, is going to sing. She's going to sing Dad's favorite song. Take it away, Kimona.
Happy birthday, Barney. My pianist wasn't available, so I brought this little guy. And I just want to say, I also was born in Brooklyn, and so he's like a brother to me in that way, but you are an inspiration to everybody, Barney. You're just so delightful. You are the sunshine on a cloudy day. You are just lovely. I've loved you from the day I met you. And I'm just so happy to be here. Thank you, Mark, for inviting me. And it's such a pleasure to meet you, Bernice. It's a pleasure to see the family. And this is a song that really speaks a lot about what Barney's about. It's about how beautiful life is. It's great to be alive. Happy birthday, love. So sorry, I didn't do a sound check. We'll see how this works. You let me know if it's too loud. It's okay? Yeah. And I'm just gonna use this. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and for you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue, clouds of white, the bright blessed day and the dark sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people passing by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry. I'll watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I think to myself, what a wonderful world. So beautiful, so fuzzy, yes. Thank you. Thank you.
I'd ask her to do another one, but it's time to eat, isn't it? Chef, are you ready? It's 7:30. Okay, it's a buffet dinner, and there'll be a very short program after. But enjoy dinner. The bar's still open, and we'll have just a closing, a short ceremony at the time for the cake. So, enjoy dinner. Thank you. We have to move this a little further along, a little faster, sorry. Our guest of honor is, he's hanging in there, but let's do him a favor and move this along. We do have a short presentation by Mr. Seth Bramson, Seth, are you ready? Who had a message from the president of Cornell University, which is Dad's alma mater. Seth, could you come up? Let's hear it for Seth. Seth is also the author of the book. Here he is.
Mark asked if I was ready. I was born ready. All right. Microphone. Great Glenn goes from the treasure of the Sierra Madre. Microphone. General. I don't need no stinking microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, it was my great honor, and we don't remember whether we met at a Cornell Club of Greater Miami function or we met here at a Quayside event. But long story short, it was my great honor to have been asked to write Barney's biography, the biography of a true American hero. As used to be on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, I hold in my hands the last envelope. Ladies and gentlemen, I hold in my hands the letter from Dr. Martha Pollack, president of Cornell University, almost at the level of the gentleman. And this is addressed to Barney, Mr. Barnard Mayrsohn, class of 45. Dear Mr. Mayrsohn, I gotta get into the light. Dear Mr. Mayrsohn, on behalf of Cornell University, I write with my best wishes for your 100th birthday. I hope that you have a terrific time celebrating this milestone and a century of remarkable achievements, including your decorated service during World War II and, of course, your degree from Cornell. I am grateful for your and your family's deep ties to the university. Barney, both his brothers, his late wife Ethel, and of course Mark and I are all Cornell. I am grateful for your and your family's deep ties to the university, and I was delighted to hear of your dedicated attendance at Cornell reunions and events for over 75 years. I wish you a very happy birthday and a wonderful year ahead.
Okay, how about a happy birthday? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Dad. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Barney.
You can't